This is the all-new Fedora 34. This release is a massive update that comes with a brand new desktop, ingenious performance improvements, and it delivers the best Fedora experience yet. I've been using Fedora 34 as my main system for some time now and it has blown my mind. This new version is being regarded as a game changer, a massive update for Fedora as well as desktop Linux altogether. So in this video, we'll be having a look at what's new, what's improved, and what makes Fedora 34 a brilliant operating system for 2021. And I've got some compelling reasons that'll leave you beyond impressed. So let's jump right in. Starting off, let's take a look at what's new in Fedora 34. Firstly, elephant in the room, we get a gorgeous brand new interface. The default Gnome desktop gets a major version bump up to Gnome 40, which is a complete reimagination of how you interact with your computer. New dock, new activities overview, and a new application grid. More on Gnome 40 in a sec. Next, Fedora now becomes faster with Z standard compression. This increases read and write speeds from Fedora 33, resulting in faster boot up and app loading times. Nobody likes a hanging and lagging computer when you have too many applications open. So, Fedora 34 comes with Systemd-OOMD turned on by default, which will intelligently predict and try to prevent out-of-memory situations before they happen. This will prevent your computer from hanging when there is a shortage of RAM, resulting in a smoother user experience, especially on older computers. Then, we get Linux kernel 5.11, which comes with added support for more and more hardware. Along with these, there is a huge list of updated packages in Fedora 34. All these things make Fedora 34 an exciting new release which is smoother, faster, and stunningly gorgeous. Now let's kick off and take a look at the thing you've been most excited about, Gnome 40. Gnome 40 is the biggest update we get since Gnome jumped from version 2 to 3 exactly 10 years ago. And with Gnome 40, everything changes. The desktop is now even more streamlined and integrated to achieve a distraction-free and natural work environment. The activities overview and the workspaces are now unified. This is a significant improvement from an aesthetic as well as a user experience point of view. This also looks more organized and easier to use. These horizontal workspaces feel so natural when compared to the old vertical ones. You can switch between applications, move between workspaces, and drag and drop apps into new workspaces. This is fully functional. The dash has moved from the left side of the screen to the bottom and it gets a subtle makeover in terms of style. It looks so premium with this spacing and spanning. I know that the dash on the left side of the screen was logically reasonable, since the screen is wider than its tall. But the dash on the bottom always feels right, and in UX, what feels right sometimes is more important than what is logically right. The dock now separates your favorites from running apps using a separator. This feels more organized and you get a nice feel of what's going on your computer. Then, we also get a new app grid. Apart from being really good looking, this is also highly customizable. Now you can directly drag and drop applications, create buckets to group applications, and also organize them in different pages. Gnome 40 brings together the activities overview, the workspace switcher, the dash and the application grid into a new singular entity where all these are in sync. In Gnome 3, all these were different fragments that were put together. Although I feel that now, I won't lie, I loved Gnome 3 and I love Gnome 40 even better. Gnome 40 has gotten even more intuitive with gestures. Super plus Alt buttons are the workspace hotkeys combined with either the arrow keys or the mouse scroll. But what I'm really excited about is the gestures for touchpad on laptops. Now you can use 3 fingers to switch between workspaces with a single swipe sideways. It feels so natural to swipe with your fingers like that and see a response on the screen. Using your computer like this, it comes so instinctively and it definitely is faster and more convenient. Overall, Gnome 40 is a great update that not only looks good but also promotes productivity like never before. And on laptops, the new gestures are really powerful. Additionally, we get many spins of Fedora which come with KDE Plasma, Cinnamon, Mate, XFCE and few more desktop environments. We also get a new Fedora spin which features the i3 tiling window manager. So if you want to run something other than Gnome, you can choose from a wide range of desktop environments. Fedora has always been high performance ready, and it gets even better now with some really ingenious features. Fedora defaulted to the BTR file system with Fedora 33, which is a modern copy-on-write file system, and this brought many advantages like advanced snapshots, better backup and recovery options, and much better data integrity. Now, Fedora 34 does one better. We get ZSTD compression implemented over Butterfuzz, which compresses and decompresses files in real time, resulting in a much more efficient storage as well as faster read and write times. Why ZSTD is a huge deal, you might ask? There are pretty solid reasons in fact. Firstly, it's a lossless compression method, meaning there is absolutely no loss of quality in your data. Basically, the compressed files are identical to original uncompressed files in a sense. Second, Fedora uses ZSTD level 1 compression. Now this gives a compression ratio of around 2, but the decompression and compression speeds are so high that it's not even perceivable by us. For us, the files might just as well be uncompressed, but the actual time it takes to read the files is pretty much halved. Thirdly, ZSTD is a very new compression technique. Most compression algorithms were created in the 90s when computers were slow, had single-core processors and less memory. The hardware of 90s was very different from what we have today. These older algorithms were also created to solve entirely different set of problems. ZSTD on the other hand is new. It's created keeping in mind that today's computers come with large amount of memory, have multiple core processors and are very capable. ZSTD is for today and tomorrow. All these things result in faster boot up speeds, faster read-write speeds, and consequently faster computing. Now realistically, how much speedup should you expect? The slower your hard disk, the more advantageous this compression is. Your computer is not going to miraculously become a rocket, but you will notice a slight speedup. Boot up will be faster by a second or two, and even if you have an SSD, there is a speedup. But due to high transfer rates of SSDs, this speedup is in milliseconds. The main advantage of using ZSTD with SSDs is that it will drastically improve the overall lifetime of SSDs. With applications getting larger in size, especially snaps and flatpaks, this compression implementation is a good improvement for speed. Next, Fedora 34 enables Systemd-OOMD, which is a daemon that monitors memory usage and prevents hanging and lagging that we see when there are too many applications running or when RAM gets filled. This will be beneficial for computers that have less RAM and even for people who use heavier applications. For daily usage, Fedora 34 is very responsive and nimble. App opening, app switching are very fluid here. And for heavier tasks like gaming, compiling too, Fedora 34 gives you better performance compared to the last version. Overall, Fedora 34 delivers more than decent performance. Fedora is an operating system created mainly for developers and professionals. Therefore, it is a highly reliable system. We get a new version of Fedora every 6 months, and these versions undergo extensive testing. A Fedora version will be supported for around a year. So even when a new version of Fedora is available, you can defer that update if your project or work situation requires you to. And if you want to upgrade, it's as simple as clicking the upgrade button and everything will be handled by the OS itself. As I said earlier, Fedora is an operating system for professionals, and Fedora developers put in a lot of hard work to bring out a high quality product that is highly dependable even though it has a short life cycle when compared to distros such as Debian. This short life cycle is very important when a distro wants to mix stability with cutting-edge technology. Every time a new version of Fedora is created, it should contain the technology and the software versions that are relevant for today. Fedora is a very dependable system that also offers you much newer packages, and this makes it a great choice for students, software professionals, and pretty much everybody. Fedora is there in that sweet spot. Talking about usability, Fedora just works. It doesn't really come with any bells and whistles, but install it on your computer and you'll have a clean and elegant system that is fully functional for everyday use and ready for anything else you want it for. Simplicity is its strongest suit. Fedora is a great system for everybody. Just install the software you need and get going. Talking about software availability, Fedora is top grade. Fedora contains new and well-tested packages and their repositories are quite large. Pretty much anything you want can be installed directly using Gnome software store or the terminal here. Fedora is a major proponent of open source software. Fedora is open source and uses only open source software in building it. Fedora strictly enforces its guiding principles, and the official repositories contain open source software only. To install other software, you'll be using third-party repositories such as RPM Fusion, which is a great software source for Fedora. RPM Fusion contains a wide range of software that are not shipped with Fedora and not available from official repos. And once you add RPM Fusion repositories to Fedora, it's very convenient to get software from there. Since Fedora project is a popular distribution and many other distros use .rpm, pretty much every software vendor will distribute a .rpm package which you can use to install software. Fedora also allows you to install Flatpaks. Once you search for any software, you get to choose between Flatpaks or RPMs. I like this choice. Okay, let's talk gaming on the new Fedora workstation. Firstly, ways of gaming. Fedora repositories contain many Linux native games. Browse them on the store, click install, play. That's it. You get a great selection of some really fun games here. Next, you can use Wine or Play on Linux to play Windows exclusive games, which has been a popular method of gaming on Linux. I've tested and given the commands to install Wine on Fedora 34 workstation in the description below. There are 2 commands. Now you might have to tinker around a bit to get some games working fine with Wine, but many games work right away. Now, the best and the most convenient way of gaming on Linux, Steam. There is an exhaustive list of Linux native games on Steam, and with Steam's Proton feature, many Windows exclusive titles install and work just like they were Linux native. And with that, out of the window goes one last reason to keep Windows installed. The performance of these Proton games is pretty identical to what you'd get on Windows. Check out ProtonDB, where you can get a list of games that work fine and games that have issues. If you have AMD or Intel integrated graphics, gaming is very convenient. All the necessary drivers to get the maximum performance are in the kernel itself, so you'll not need to install anything else. People with NVIDIA GPUs, you'll benefit hugely in terms of performance by installing the proprietary NVIDIA drivers. I've given the commands to install NVIDIA official drivers on Fedora 34 in the description below. Tested and working fine. You're getting the latest stable kernel here, latest drivers, so overall gaming on Fedora gets major points for performance, game choice, and ease of getting started. Fedora workstation is very simple to install and get started with. You download the ISO file, write it to a USB stick, and boot into a live session. We get Anaconda installer here. This is really simple and clear to use, but I feel that partitioning could have been made simpler. So I have added a step-by-step guide video to install Fedora in the description below. Follow that if this is your first time installing Fedora or if you need any help. Fedora installs in around 15 minutes. After installation, the setup procedure is initiated on first boot, where you'll be asked to create a password and tune up your system. Fedora comes ready to use after installation. Daily use applications like a browser, an office suite, and system utilities are all there. Installing NVIDIA drivers. We still don't get a one-click solution like we do in Ubuntu, but that's fine. You can install these drivers using RPM Fusion, and I've given the link to the command guide in the description below. AMD and Intel GPU drivers are pre-installed in the kernel itself, and you don't need to install anything else additionally. As I said earlier, Fedora workstation comes with many desktop environments, and these are called Fedora spins. I've given the links to download Fedora Gnome as well as Fedora spins below in the description. Fedora has always been a great operating system, with its stock desktop, streamlined environment, and open source nature. Fedora 34 ups the game. Now, Fedora is better than ever with its clean and evolved desktop. The software availability and performance make it suitable for everybody. Fedora just provides a great computing environment. If you want a fast, dependable system that also has good software selection and community support, Fedora is a superb choice. Everything just works here. Everything is new, and you don't really have to worry about managing the system once you set it up, and you can just focus on getting some work done. Do give it a try. The download link is in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, do consider subscribing to the channel. Also, check me out on Patreon and support the channel. Next up, check out Garuda Linux, which is an innovative new distro that's turning heads. That's it for today, guys. See you in the next one. This is Linux Techs, signing out.